it probably wasn't your last injury, or it probably wasn't stepping off a curb that twisted your ankle.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
probably was the lack of sleep, the lack of food.
Yeah.
Maybe you're feeling a bit sluggish from the week, stressed out, handful of things.
Right.
So I guess to kick us off, when you say zoom out to zoom in, what do you mean?
Yeah, I was trying to remember what my original thoughts were on it, but it was that. It was, I find that a lot of people who like seek me out for injury, and maybe you see the same, is like they want to know like, hey, can you find that one thing I did wrong? What's the one magic piece in my ankle or in my hip or my shoulder that I'm missing that I need to fix this, right? And yeah, I don't know if that's just like human nature or if that's because of like social media tricking people to think that there's like one magic fix for everything. But I'm
I
always telling people, yeah, go ahead.
No, it could be very much. I run into the same thing of people saying, "Oh, is it just that one thing that I need to fix?"
Right.
It's never just one thing.
Right. Or that one muscle,
Never.
right? Like just find that one tight, trigger point,
Yes.
and then all my problems will be healed. But yeah, when it comes to like the cause of injury, they often want to know like what did I do wrong? You know what I mean? And it gets very like, and there's a time and a place for like I think zooming in, right? For micro focus, right? Definitely a time and a place for it. But what I find a lot is that I have to coach people to zoom out and tell them like, hey, yes, this one thing matters, but you have to consider the environment it's in. There's all of these other things going on you've already mentioned, right? The sleep, the diet, the training habits, right? Um, and other stressors in life that could set you up for an injury, and that plays into injury risk. And so I think it's really so. Yeah, I guess to answer your question, what I mean by it is, yeah, basically like looking at it holistically, I guess, right? And considering, I tell people you got to consider the ecosystem,
Yes.
your
I
body
think
essentially.
that's the key phrase there is the ecosystem,
Yeah,
because it's not just how much water you're drinking. It's not you haven't been training. Maybe you have been training. That big picture is vital for people to get actual results. Because if you're zoomed in on that one thing, which, like you said, sometimes it's very appropriate to zoom in on the one thing.
right.
Like you were out playing basketball, you heard the pop, and your Achilles snapped. That's the one thing that happened, but there was probably a series of things
Yes,
leading up
yes.
to that one thing that happened.
And that was the other piece I was going to touch on is not just, more specifically the training piece, right? Because yeah, there's all the lifestyle habits and everything for sure. But obviously for me, I deal more specifically in the realm of like what do you do for training, right? And so we have that conversation of like, when's the last time you strengthened your calves? When's the last time you did any strength training? Or if you do, what does that look like? How often is it? How intense is it? Are you overdoing your strength training? Are you overdoing your sport? You know what I mean? Talking about all those things and those habits that pre-existed that Achilles pop on the basketball court, right? Um,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, no, my train of thought just left the station without me.
Sorry.
You're fine. I I do think the training habits comes into like super important. For me, I find a lot of people, when it comes to the training habits, they zoomed out and they're like, I used to
Yeah.
work out 5 times a week, so I
Right.
should be okay. Just go back to 5 times a week. They've trained 5 times a week. Don't they're not feeding themselves like they should because their appetite hasn't caught up yet.
Yeah.
They're used to eating smaller meals because they weren't exercising and they didn't need those big meals.
Right.
And then they go to the game day, go running, pop the Achilles, and it wasn't the game that popped the Achilles. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
they've been training for 14 days straight,
And not
thinking that they
eating
were
enough.
still in. Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
Because
Totally.
you can train for 14 days straight as long as you're managing yourself throughout the
Yeah.
14 days.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Um,
And for your like personal experience, um, have you had anybody recently that you've had this type of conversation with that you can recall?
Oh, let's see. Put me on the spot. Try to think of someone. I feel like I have this conversation every day, to be honest. Really, like with most people, it's like okay, because people come to me like looking like okay, I do an objective exam, a movement exam, and they want me to like find the answer, right? And I'm like, look, like that stuff matters, and we'll find like sure, this mobility, this strength, this movement pattern could be relevant to your injury, right? To your pain. But it's just so much more than that. And so I find that I'm always steering that conversation in the direction of like, okay, yes, we're going to look at these things, but we need to talk about all of this other stuff, right? I need to,
Yes.
and so I talk a lot. I ask a lot of questions. My intake is exhaustingly thorough. I have to warn people because I'm like, look, my intake form is long, but I do that on purpose. Like, I need you to give me as much. I tell them, give me as much detail as possible right? Because
Yes.
and almost every time they still don't give me enough. Somehow I'm like, I need to improve that system. I'm like, I need you to tell me how often you work out, what workouts you do, the weights, the reps, the sets, what your nutrition actually looks like. Like, I need all your injury history, right? Like, and so it's just, yeah,
I,
uh,
that 100% makes sense because the zooming out portion here would be you really only train, let's say, 2 hours a day. And that's for like extreme people who are training extremely for two
yeah,
hours a day. There's still 22 hours of the day you haven't accounted for.
yeah,
There's 3 to 4 meals throughout the day you
hmm
have to account for.
sure,
There's 6 to 9 hours at night that you should be sleeping. Maybe you're not accounting for that.
yeah,
And with your exhaustive questionnaire, I question them when they come in
hmm
because I know writing out all that stuff
yeah,
can be too long, arduous. And I'm
mm,
sure you make
sure,
discoveries during your intake where you're like,
yeah,
that probably was on the form and they just didn't fill it out.
yeah.
But the communications solves most of those problems.
It really does. Yeah,
But you're only, yeah, people are only training 1 to 2 hours a day. And that 1 to 2 hours, while it's super important, I don't think they're giving enough weight to the other 23 to 22 hours in the day
yeah,
where you were sitting down all day, your
sure,
muscles got
sure,
tight,
yeah, yeah,
you didn't properly warm up before you went to do that 1 hour workout.
yeah.
I think it would behoove us to like, could we give people a checklist between the two of us, like just now,
Right.
off the top of our head?
Right.
Of like,
Yeah, I was actually just thinking that as like I kind of have the top five I go through with everyone. It's like, okay, training, nutrition, sleep, stress. I'm trying to think what the fifth one is, but okay, maybe top four.
no,
Like
that is
the big, right? Like and there
daily activities.
yes, your job for sure.
Yes.
Like you mentioned, like do they sit all day? Are they on their feet all day? You know what I mean? That can totally play a role. Um,
Yeah. I think for people who are, if you're struggling with an injury or anything like that, run through Dr. Toe's checklist. He literally just gave us. Like, are you sleeping well? Are you eating well? What's your training schedule look like?
mhm.
And are you stressed? Because those play major indicators. And then what's your job look like?
Yeah,
Are you working on a desk all the time?
yeah,
Are you a construction worker? So you're doing the constant repetitive motions.
sure. Yeah.
I think taking account for all of that additional stuff can help people just on their own figure out,
Totally.
hey, my sleep has been garbage. I, I need to fix that.
Yeah,
And that leads me into all of those things actually link into each other.
they totally do. Yeah.
Because if you're not sleeping well, you're probably not training well, you're probably not eating well, and you're probably stressed. If you're
Right.
stressed, you're probably not eating well, you're
Right?
probably not
Yeah,
sleeping well. It
yeah.
just goes around and
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
That's a amazing checklist. Well done off the top of your head.
Well, thanks. No, I'm glad you brought up the occupation though. That is a big one. Like the repetitive motions, for example. Yeah, because again, like somebody will come to me and be like, "Oh, I have no idea why I'm hurting." And, they say that, and then I start asking the question, and they really don't. And once we get down to it, I'm like, "This seems, you know, maybe it's just more obvious to me because this is what I do." But I'm just like, once we get there, I'm like, "Well, it's pretty clear. Like, yeah, that one motion you do every day, and you have pain right here in your forearm. It's like I'm pretty sure that's."
No, you're not wrong.
somewhat relevant.
I had that same interaction with people of like, it was 2 weeks ago. I've been dealing with somebody. They're having crazy shoulder problems for like 6 months. They've done acupuncture, working with me. They went to their primary care, couldn't figure it out. And finally, I was like, you know what? I need you to send me a video call. Video call me while you're at work and show me where you're working.
Yeah.
They were working like this. And I said, look at yourself, like in the video.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh. I was like,
Yeah.
you gotta
That's smart.
rearrange your desk.
I like that. I like that. Yeah.
The one training thing I came across recently was recording yourself. If you
Mhm.
don't have anybody to watch your form, you can
Yeah,
record yourself.
for sure.
You can do the same thing at work.
Yeah.
Set up a camera, forget about it, and start working.
Yeah.
You'll then remember the camera's there, and you'll probably see what you're doing with your posture.
Yeah.
Maybe you're coming in like this,
Yeah.
leaning back.
Yeah.
Setting up a camera is super helpful.
Hmm. Yeah. It's good ideas. Never. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I like it.
I, yeah, I think we've kind of hit on a lot of things. Is there anything else you think we need to cover for zooming out to zoom in? Or even when do you need to zoom in instead of zoom out?
Yeah. Yeah, well, you just gave an example kind of zooming in, actually. I feel like of like, oh yeah, let's look closer at your posture at work. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like, yeah, we
Yes.
take the relevant things and we focus where we need to. But, that also goes back to like the importance, I think, of a personalized approach, because every person is different and what needs to be focused on is going to look a little different for everybody, right? But to me, that's why a thorough assessment is important, right? A thorough conversation and dialogue and screening and all the questions I ask to figure out where do we need to focus our energy.
Yes. Yes. Having more information has never hurt anybody. It might slow down the process a little bit, but you know that the first move you make is going to be a lot more
E-
surgical and accurate
Exactly.
rather than just this might be it.
Yeah, I like that analogy. That's like the whole analogy of like, you know, you have the right tool, you can get the job done in 1 minute versus you have the wrong tool, it's going to take an hour.
Yep.
You got to be focused in your energy. So yeah, for sure, a time and a place to zoom in, but yeah, I
I
find
think
that
this,
people just for some reason cognitively don't will zoom in more than they zoom out and they get like the blinders on, right? Uh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that could even be the sign to zoom in is after you've zoomed out, because then you know where to zoom in.
Fair.
You,
And we're
you
doing
got to
this
look at
call on Zoom.
zoom, zoom.
Should we get
Yeah, that
sponsored for this now?
uh, I would take a Mazda. I would never buy a Mazda, but I'll take a free one.
Yeah, yeah, right. I don't know if they give you a free one now that you just said that, but
Yeah, true. They probably just nixed me off the list.
Zoom, Zoom. That's funny. But yeah, no, good talk. Good talk. We'll have to
Yeah.
come up with the next one.